So in a previous video, I touched on the new Season 1 heart mechanics and how I think you all should push towards World Tier 3 before investing some time into that. And I want to explain why that is, and of course, talk a little bit through some of the heart mechanics in this game, because they can be a little confusing. Now, doing the Season 1 quest line in order to unlock like the benches around the map and get your first set of rings as well as your first heart, it's a really easy quest. And in fact, you can see here I've already done the first seasonal quest, but now it requires me to jump back in and complete chapter 2. Completing that first quest only takes about 10 minutes. It's really easy, and if you wish to do it, go ahead. It's going to give you a little bit of a power bonus and can actually unlock a couple hearts that can be very useful. But when you actually start getting into the game, you start doing dungeons, you start finding those malignant creatures around the map, and just generally clearing content, you're going to start unlocking random malignant bosses or random malignant elites. And you're going to be able to go ahead and kill them for the caged hearts. Okay, and these will start to drop randomly, and you're going to get some really nice ones, and you could just use those as you level up. But the reason why we're trying to get to World Tier 3 as quick as possible and eventually to World Tier 4 is because some of these hearts are actually locked behind World Tier 3. And if I show you this post by Blizzard here, you'll find that you can see here, unless specified, the heart can be acquired by playing any World Tier. And you can see some of them are specified by World Tier. Well, with this, there's one in here, two rather, that I found to be exceptionally good on every character because these are general ones. There are some unique to certain classes, and some of them can be exceptionally good there as well. But in terms of general utility, every class can use these two. You're going to want to look for the Caged Heart of Revenge and the Caged Heart of Tempting Fate, okay? And also the Caged Heart of Determination. But this one can actually be found without going to World Tier 3. Now, the Caged Heart of Tempting Fate is very specific because if you're not running a critical strike build, then obviously it's not going to work really well for you. And you do kind of want to be in World Tier 3 already, so you can actually start to generate a lot more crit strike chance, so this doesn't actually become a negative for you. But if you're in a build like Ice Shard Sorcerer still, and you're using crit strikes all the time, or you're just having a lot of crit strike chance on your build, this is going to be a massive damage increase. But the more important one here is this Caged Heart of Revenge. This suppresses 19% of incoming damage, and then whenever you use a defensive, subterfuge, or macabre skill, all suppressed damage is amplified by 250% and explodes. Now, that explosion damage is actually not negligible when you actually get this in World Tier 3. You can see a lot of my skills, they're hitting for a few thousand. Oftentimes I crit for, tens of thousands. So actually releasing that max damage hit can actually deal some good damage. But that's actually not why we're using it. We're using it for that 19% in this case, but can be 20% of incoming damage being suppressed. This makes you extremely tanky and really is something that you're going to want to look for as soon as you enter into World Tier 3. Now, you might ask how you farm this. Well, first off, you're going to want to either go through and actually farm the malignant tunnels around the map, or you're just going to randomly drop it as you go through and farm normal dungeons. If you want to target farm it, well, you're going to go around the map and you're going to look for the specific tunnels here that have, hey, craft an X Invoker to clear the outgrows within. You can see here this says Brutal Invoker, but for the Caged Heart of Revenge, we are going to need a Brutal Invoker, or it's a Brutal Malignant Socket insert. So you're going to need a Brutal Invoker to target farm it. Now that's where these come in. You might notice I have quite a few of them. You're going to unlock these as you level up. And it's also the reason why I mentioned do not use these outside of World Tier 3 or World Tier 4, because there are some hearts that are even locked behind World Tier 4. These Brutal Malignant Invokers are the ones we need to match towards this Malignant Tunnel, which says craft a Brutal Invoker. And when you match it, you can start to target farm those Brutal Hearts. This is the best way to go ahead and find some of these. And in this case here for the Caged Heart of Revenge, this is absolutely worth your time to go ahead and farm. Without this, it's very difficult, or it was very difficult for me to actually try to push to World Tier 4. You might notice I'm already in it at level 57, and I actually got into World Tier 4 a lot earlier. It was like level 52 when I did go ahead and try it. But without this, I wasn't able to do it. I couldn't do it. It was too difficult. I was getting one shot everywhere. I put this on and instantly I was able to go ahead and clear World Tier 4, albeit still difficult, but the difference was massive. Keep in mind also that these also have armor on them with scaling item power. So the higher item power you get, the more armor you're going to get. So not only are you going to get the specific heart that you want with the specific aspect, but you're also going to get far more armor when you start to target farm these in World Tier 3. And little bonus point, the Dinde Hollow dungeon here is actually a decent farming spot. It's not great, but it's only going to be like, I think it's like 30% worse than some of the optimal farming paths. And if you're only doing it for like 30, 45 minutes, well, you're not really losing all that much time. And most people don't even care about that. If you're looking to just get stronger and feel stronger and not struggle as much, this is a great way to fix that. And as I mentioned earlier, a little honorable mention for the Caged Heart of Determination here. This is going to give you extra resource generation, which can really matter for a lot of builds. And because you can have 3 on your jewelry, you can actually have all 3 of these on your jewelry at the same time. There are some other hearts that can be really, really good, especially for specific, classes, right? There are some for the rogue that I found to be exceptionally good. And of course, if you find one that you really, really like, then you can go ahead and equip that. But generally speaking, these 3 are the ones that I like to go for if I can find the sockets for them. Although for this Caged Heart of Revenge, I will specifically not equip a better ring just so I can have this heart if I am missing a specific socket for it. It is that good. Keep in mind that these are going to be replaced as you go through, as I mentioned. So when you enter World Tier 3, World Tier 4, you're going to replace these. So it is nice to potentially keep a couple around. Because you're just going to slot them in as you swap out gear. And B, don't worry about kind of keeping a couple around in terms of just allowing them to kind of socket in as you replace gear. Because eventually you're going to want to replace them anyways. So yeah, you can keep a few around as you get new slotted gear, but eventually you're going to end up salvaging them anyways to try to improve them to get the higher armor value. Again, though, you're going to want to have one of these slotted in your gear pieces, and it is absolutely insane how effective a lot of these can be. As I mentioned, especially the Revenge and the Tempting Fate, except for a few that are class specific out there. I just wanted to mention this today because a couple of people saw the leveling guide and heard that I don't recommend you farm for these before hitting World Tier 3, and people took that as don't use the hearts at all, or they're not worth farming. That is not the case. It's just that it's going to be slower leveling process. And when you get to World Tier 3, you unlock so many better ones that you just want to get there as soon as possible so you can really cash in on some amazing hearts when you do get to World Tier 3. But with that said, hopefully you guys are enjoying Season 1. I know I am. I'll probably have a video later today or tomorrow talking about my thoughts on Season 1 so far. And be on the lookout for those hearts because they can be game changing for every class in the game. See you for the next one.